Hey guys, it's Chaley, and today I'm going to be trying to explain how to write a synopsis for your book. If you want to support me in my own journey to publish my own novel, which is about zombies by the way, then consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I have been unironically dreading this video. If you know me personally, then you already know that I hated writing my synopsis. Writing a synopsis is the bane of my existence. Mostly because I wasn't sure how to go about it, and every time I looked something up to try and help me, I just got more confused and I just couldn't get it to click in my brain. It was hard for me personally, and I'm glad to know I'm not the only writer that feels this way about writing a synopsis. Now, if you clicked on this video, then you're probably wondering, what is a synopsis and how do I write it? Well, in a nutshell, a synopsis is a basic summary of your novel from point A to point B, including subplots and the entirety of your ending. A lot of writers are very apprehensive and hesitant about this because you're essentially giving away the entire plot and the ending of your book, but I can assure you this isn't that big of an issue. It's unlikely that your synopsis will ever publicly be seen. It's not going to be what's on the back of your book that sells it to readers. It's not going to be that. A synopsis helps agents and publishers get a well-rounded idea of how well your book is going to do and how well it's going to sell. Before I get into the nitty-gritty about how to write a synopsis, I'm going to first talk about the difference between a synopsis and a blurb. A synopsis is a summary of all the major plot points and includes the ending. This summary, as previously stated, assists publishers and agents in understanding your book's content. A blurb is typically found on the back of the book and is designed to sell the book to readers by giving them a small taste of the main thing, providing plot teasers and twists. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's jump right in. How long should my synopsis be? I think the average, or at least the typical number I've heard, is between 500 to 800 words. But the length of your synopsis is also going to depend on the agent that you're sending it to, as some agents have specific guidelines for how long your synopsis should be and what should be included in it. Which is why I encourage you to write a long, detailed synopsis with everything that you want in it, every detail that you want to put in there, and then a short, quote-unquote short synopsis that doesn't have as much detail but hits all the main points that you need. Story outlines are going to be your friend. I would like to also take a moment to remind my fellow writers that if you are a pantser or someone who doesn't write with a storyline or anything like that, that is okay. I am just going to say that if you happen to have a storyline, even if it's just a basic setup type, then it's going to be a lot of help here. As most story outlines that writers have typically have every single plot point for the entire storyline. So if you already have a storyline, then it's really going to help you guide your synopsis in the way you want it to go. Your synopsis must be written in present tense and third person, even if your book is first person and past tense. To my understanding, this is so that you can write your synopsis with a lot more professionalism. Now we're going to get into the kind of prep that you need to do before you actually write your synopsis. And this is, at least it helped me write my synopsis. So first things first, you're going to write down all of your major plot points. And like I said, this helped me a lot. I wrote down each and every single one of my plot points in a single sentence, all separate lines, all separate paragraphs. This is so when you write your first paragraph, which will be the premise of your book, connecting all those dots between those plot points and filling them in and adding details will be a lot easier. Now you're going to write your book's premise. This is going to be your general, here's what my book's about, here's my basic story, and general setting and theme of the entire storyline. This is going to be like a one-sentence pitch turned into an entire paragraph. It's what's supposed to hook your potential agent or publisher. You're going to want to introduce your main characters, protagonist, and antagonist. And you're going to want to set the overall theme for your book and introduce the main conflict. Now, if you're like me in a situation where you don't exactly have a physical person that's an overarching antagonist, then you might get a little frustrated with this bit. But trust me, it's still the same way. If your antagonist is more like a situation, a disease, or something else, then you would still introduce it in the same way you would a physical antagonist. It just wouldn't have, much of a personality because it's a thing rather than a person or an entity. Okay, now you got your premise done. Now we're going to play connect the plot dots. You remember all those lines of plot that you just wrote down? Great! Now we're going to actually connect them. This is where you're going to add in the important information like any primary characters, subplots, or important details that are vital to the story. Once you have all of that connected and intersecting and doing all the good stuff, you are not going to worry about coming back to this quite yet. After playing a game of connect the plot dots, now you're going to write your ending, exactly how it happens. I know it's not exactly what a lot of writers want to do, but trust me, it's okay. Your synopsis is more than likely only going to be seen by your agent and publisher and any other party associated with them, so it's not going to be seen publicly. It's not going to spoil your reader's experiences, I promise. So, even though every fiber of your being is probably screaming at you to not do it, write down that ending. Now you've essentially finished your synopsis, or at least your first draft of your synopsis. Now you're going to step away from it before you submit it or edit it. Give your brain a much needed break and step away from it, and don't even think about it until the next day. I know that you're probably like, I want to get it done as soon as possible. I have to get it done. I need to submit it. I need to be querying agents. I need to add to my query package. I get that, but you want it to be as good and as polished as possible. So for the sake of your query package and your overall end goal, step away from your synopsis and give your brain that much needed break so when you return to it to edit and revise it, you have a refreshed mindset. And after you've given it a day and you've come back to your synopsis, let's edit it. You are going to go through your synopsis and do your basic typical editing, and then you're going to do another form of editing that helped me a lot. If you aim to have a shorter synopsis, you know how I talked about earlier, having a long detailed one with everything you want in it, and then a short one. If you are aiming to do that, or if you're aiming to have a not so overly detailed overall synopsis, then you are now going to go through each and every single one of those paragraphs talking about different plot points, and you are going to ask yourself if there is any unnecessary or unimportant information in them, or if something is described too detailed, or whatever the case may be. I know you probably don't want to, but you are going to delete the unnecessary information or information that you know for a fact you do not need in your synopsis. I struggled a lot with this in my journey to try and get a concise, not overly detailed, not super long synopsis. And at the end of all of this, once you have combed through and revised your entire synopsis, we're going to move on to the next step. Proofreading. Now that you've gone over it yourself, you are now going to have someone go over it for you and proofread it. Preferably, try to find someone that you can trust that you know knows absolutely nothing about your book and have them proofread it. No bias, no previous knowledge whatsoever about anything in your book. Try to find someone that if they do know something about your book, it's not a whole lot in case you can't find someone who knows absolutely nothing. The reason behind this is most agents or publishers aren't going to know a whole lot about your story. Probably if you send it to an agent or publisher, they'll get the gist from your query, but they're not going to get, the full-blown thing until they read your synopsis. And this will give you a general idea of how agents or publishers are going to be reading your synopsis and how they're going to be thinking about it and taking it in, and you get the gist. Once the proofreading section is done, you're going to make any necessary revisions and edits, maybe have someone proofread it again, and then you are ready to submit your synopsis with your query package. Which, if you want to know what a query is, what a query package is, then comment it down below and I will 110% do a future video on it. That was my video on how to write a synopsis. I genuinely struggled with this, so I hope this video has helped you somewhat. I'm sorry if it didn't, I just know this was very confusing and I wanted to try and explain it in a way that made sense to my brain. If it made sense to my brain, then maybe it makes sense to someone else's brain, because I struggled with this a lot, and I mean a lot. If you want to see videos on other topics like this, then hit the like button and comment it down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see all of you in the next one. Bye!